Hello, I'm Don Stanek, and you're listening to Real Talk, a place where real estate professionals can learn, grow, and find motivation. We all need help occasionally, so let's get started. So you wake up out of a dream, and you're like trying to remember it. Your heart rate's up. You're perspiring, and you're like, man, this is something. Oh, and then all of a sudden, boom, it comes to you. In the dream, you're on a date with Margaret Thatcher. What? You're on a flying carpet and you're naked. Whoa. Oh, it felt so real. It felt so real. Now, what's wild is, was it real? No, you weren't naked on a date with Margaret Thatcher. Sorry, maybe next time. Unfortunately, your body's physiology and a certain part of your brain was occupied in that world, and for a moment, it was real. It was real in your dream. There's a really interesting crossover thing that happens when it comes to our brains, and that is sometimes when we think about a task and we start visualizing success around a task, and we think, gosh, you know what I'm going to do is have a YouTube channel, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an event, a prospecting event, and it's going to be around Toys for Tots, or it's going to be the Arbor Day thing where I plant a tree and help all the neighbors plant the tree. Won't that be exciting? Now, what's nuts is that talking about it a little bit to yourself and daydreaming about it, it satisfies a certain amount of your wanting to actually do it. And in fact, it might satisfy it to such a great measure that you feel like you've actually done something when in fact you have not. So this episode is all about what are the things that we are aspiring to and dreaming to, and is that daydream state, is it holding us back from the tasks that we need to do to actually achieve success in what we want to do? So first off, I got to plead guilty, and that is, in my core, I'm a salesperson. I'm a sales guy, and I've got some operational chops, and that's fine. But I'm a dreamer. And that is, I like to talk about stuff, and I like to noodle around different ideas, and I like to talk to people about their hopes and their dreams and their aspirations. And I'll be the first to admit, in that talking about that stuff, I do get a certain amount of satisfaction, and probably in some ways it holds me back, because once I start trying to back in the operational steps to get from point A to point B, I realize, man, there's going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of work. It's not just it's a dream, but unless you have action items, it's not even, it's a fantasy, right? So it's fantastical thinking, unless you have kind of some specific action items. So over the course of the next few minutes, what I want to do is give you some very specific recommendations so that you can take these dreams and kind of turn them into reality, so that your dreams aren't just fantasy, that your dreams can become productive realities. So let's get started. One of the most productive things that you can do to take your little dream life and turn it into powerful reality and motivation is to have some very, very clear standards and some minimum personal standards and some operating procedures, right? And so I'm not going to call these your daily goals, but it's your daily goal. What's your minimum performance standard in the day for you to maintain a regular business? There's nothing wrong with dreaming, but you need to be standing on a firm baseline so that when you do reach for the stars, you're not floating in outer space. Your feet are grounded on the deck. And so what are some of these minimum standards and standard operating procedures that you need to do when running a good real estate company? For goodness sakes, you can make a pretty simple list. You need to do some kind of prospecting every day. You need to do some kind of follow-up every single day. You need to make sure you're on top of your transactions every single day. And that means you probably have a checklist, a sequence of events to get somebody in a transaction and then to shepherd them correctly through a successful transaction and then a successful close. If you don't have a checklist for a buyer and a checklist for your seller and a checklist for your listing and your listing promotion, for goodness sakes, it's okay to dream, but I need you to have a firm foundation before you start reaching above your weight. It's going to help you today, and it's also going to take these great ideas you have that are in dream state, and now you can take those things and fit them into a standard operating procedure. So it's no longer fantasy. It actually becomes, okay, it's kind of dreams. My dreams now are inspiring and informing my goals. So my dreams aren't informing unrealistic fantasy, but I'm taking those dreams and I'm using them as motivation to put into a standard framework. Now, the other reason that's so important is because you might be the most brilliant person on the planet, and you might be the best dreamer on the planet, and operationally, you might be the best person on the planet. You. If you're operating in a silo and you're not prepared to expand your operation with a team member, you got a huge problem on your hands. And so if you can't take that energy that you have around your dream state and pour it into standard operating procedure, you're not going to be able to replicate yourself and get other people to buy into your dream, or in this case, your vision, your professional business vision. Writing it down, standard operating procedures, is absolutely the very first thing you need to do. Keep yourself grounded and reach for the stars. Next up, and I know probably a lot of you who coach with me are sick of hearing this from me, but you have to commit to your calendar. Now, the whole calendar topic it's complicated. It's psychological. For some people, there's a big barrier there because they feel like, man, at the end of the day, I take a look at my calendar, nothing happened, but I was busy all day. I was busy all day and nothing happened. Because if it's not on your calendar, you really didn't document what you did. And that's fine. I'm not heavy into documentation, but if you go day by day, I need you to understand that at the end of the day, you do need to go and backfit those items in your calendar, because there's things that happen to you today. Let's say it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. There's something that happened to you today that requires you to take action at some point tomorrow. It's that simple. I just need you to go to tomorrow and allocate 30 minutes for whatever that thing is. You met somebody new and you had a conversation with them about their house or like whatever. You did something today that requires a future action. I need you to write it down at the end of the day. Now, I have an entire time management, time blocking seminar thing if you really want to just go crazy with that and get bored off your bottom. But the people who master their calendar are the people who take back authority over their time. Now, within the framework of this episode, we're talking about daydreaming. One of the things that you could fall victim to, and I've seen this and I've done it myself, and that is I'm daydreaming, thinking about, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll go to Key West this summer, and it's during working hours, and maybe I'll get another cup of coffee, and so I find these little things to start procrastinating and distracting myself with. You know what? Maybe I should buy that thing. I should buy that thing on Amazon. Now, please understand that these distractions that are coming up into your day on a regular basis, I 100% believe is a form of daydreaming, because what it is, it's allowing your focus to drift off the task at hand. You're going to be so much more empowered if you focus yourself in that moment to get the thing done that you need to get done and move on. In fact, you might even, if you're struggling with this, you might even allocate some daydreaming time, and I call that take breaks. Take some small breaks, maybe program in 30 minutes for lunch. I work with a lot of real estate professionals who are successful, and I used to be one of them. I don't have time. I don't have time for lunch. I don't have time to eat. I don't have time even to go to the bathroom. Well, this is absurd, because believe you me, no one cares. Nobody really cares if you're uncomfortable in your day. And so for goodness sakes, why don't you plan a little bit of comfort and a little bit of grace and do a little bit of daydreaming at that time. Program in those breaks, and I need you to stay a little bit more compliant with your calendar. I know, look, even the best of the best time blockers out there are probably only 50-50 compliant with their projected time blocking dates. But that 50% compliance probably also transmits into X5 or X10 in productivity. You'd be amazed at just a very little bit of time blocking. What it does is it starts reprogramming your thinking. And so if you're a daydreamer and if you have a tendency to kind of drift off the page, constantly or regularly referring back to your calendar during the day is going to help you stay on track. What am I doing? What am I doing? Some people are really good in 15-minute intervals. I happen to be one of those people. Some people are really good at concentrating for an hour. That ain't me. And so I compromise. I try to book my world in like 30-minute episodes. I could do this for 30 minutes, but I know I'm going to probably have to do something because I'm ADD. Get compliant with your calendar. If you're having issues with this, book an appointment and get on my calendar. I'd love to walk you through it, because the people who are successful in their time blocking are people who can take those daydreams and turn them into goals and then put them on the calendar, which means they're now time sensitive. And that to me sounds like a goal. Okay, and I saved the best for last. There's probably a few other things we need to talk about in terms of daydreams and productivity and lying to ourselves and task avoidance. But here's the deal. This one thing that you can do to actually cut right to the chase, and that is find and work with some type of an accountability partner. I don't recommend that this person is a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or romantic interest, because sometimes what this does is it even creates another layer of emotional, unnecessary thinking around task management. What I want you to do is find some type of accountability partner. I hope that they're probably in the real estate business, so at least they have a framework for some of your challenges. But do me a favor, don't say, "Oh, I'm going to find a partner and we're going to partner up. We're going to partner up," and then don't have a framework around that partnership. And then what happens is you start making excuses for each other, and you start using each other as plausible deniability and excuses. Now, I'm not saying this happens in every partnership in real estate, but I've maybe seen it 99% of the time. And so don't use that other person as a codependent crutch, right? Help empower that person to have authority over your accountability. And that is, hey, we're going to have a quick 5-minute call every single day. I'm going to ask you some tough questions. And that is, what are you doing? What you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And what are you doing to drive value toward your goal? And so in Agile framework, this is called a DSU, a daily stand up. And so this is where the team stands up and says, here's what I'm working on. Here's what I did yesterday. Here's what my focus is today. And the reason I'm focusing on that is because it's a component that's going to help with this last thing that we've all agreed to, how important it is. And, maybe it's that one last project event that has to happen. Okay. Don't get too confused about this, and don't go too deep. This is a quick 5-minute touch base with your accountability partner. It could go like this. Hey, Bill, it's Don. Just wanted to touch base. Yesterday I did open escrow on 123 Main Street, and I need to process that rest of that paperwork. But more importantly, I need to make sure that I still get 1 hour of prospecting in today, and that's going to happen between 3 o'clock and 4 p.m. today. Got it? And the reason I need to prospect is because if I don't fill the top of the funnel, I'm getting some attrition. Okay. So I just made a declarative statement. This is what I'm going to do. If I should be able to open up my calendar and see those action items in there, I might even be willing to share my calendar with my accountability partner. And then that way you're not guessing about what you need to do, right? You're not having an argument with anyone about what to do. Having an accountability partner is absolutely the very best way for you to get grounded super fast. Like I said, if you do this with a spouse or a romantic partner, you might get so dang grounded, you might get grounded into the ground, and it might not be very motivating. But what I want you to do is take that energy and that excitement and that power, create that framework for you to operate so that you can have dreams and hopes and visions that become action items that somebody else you can share with someone else. And once you share that thing with someone else, then that actually creates accountability. You've been listening to Real Talk with me, Don Stanek. If you found this episode helpful, please share it. If you want to talk to me about this topic or anything else, get on my calendar for a free session. I look forward to helping you in any way that I can.